NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte made clear that the new defense investment plan will be decisive to ensuring effective deterrence. But can the move to 5% of GDP in defense spending be realistically achieved across Europe, already struggling debt and inflation?
No, I don't think it can be reasonably and rationally achieved in the short period when that's depicted in Mark Rutte's proposal. This is all smoke and mirrors. It's designed to impress Trump and to appease Trump, placate Trump in terms of this particular summit. They want to give the impression of unity, and the Secretary General has got the allies to commit to 5%, irrespective of whether they can afford to pay it or achieve it.
European states reportedly were not consulted before Trump launched strikes on Iran, and France has warned of repeating Iraq and Libya mistakes, urging diplomacy over military escalation. Now, as a former NATO official, how could NATO leaders urge Trump to de-escalate during the summit? You are a former NATO official, and of course you understand, and you're the best to tell us about the NATO dynamics.
Well, usually if the United States has something significant in mind, which they want to achieve in terms of the alliance, or if they believe that the Europeans will be affected, they will not consult, but they will inform. Because the United States in recent years, even under Biden, didn't consult, they just informed, and the allies were happy enough to be informed, for example, in terms of what was happening in Afghanistan and so on. They were happy to be informed because they would know what was going on and could be able to prepare for it. But Trump didn't inform because the operational security was important. He couldn't afford to betray an operation because NATO is notoriously leaky.
In what way? What do we
In what way? It's 32 members. So the information would go to 32 countries and the central staffs, and it's impossible to achieve secrecy, confidentiality, and in these circumstances. So as NATO has expanded, so the consultations have become looser and more restricted and
fragile, if we may say. Would it be fragile?
Fragile, yes. But the United States and others only inform NATO and consult with NATO to the extent that they're certain that they cannot be frustrated in their actions.
NATO Chief Mark Rutte today told reporters ahead of the summit that U.S. strikes on Iran did not violate international law. He added that Iran must not develop nuclear weapons. How do you interpret his statements?
Well, international law is a very flexible thing. International lawyers don't agree on the detail of its application. So, yes, you could argue that Israel and the United States preempted a real and significant threat of Iranian nuclear weapons. But the UK law officer advising the government actually indicated that the action of the United States and Israel was illegal. under international law. The issue is, though, international law is beside the point. It's power that counts. And if you're a superpower like the United States, I don't think international law is given a real consideration in their calculation.
Or credibility, if we may say.
The credibility, and also you can find a lawyer to say, yes, this is an attack on Iran, within international law. You can find a lawyer. And Mark Rutte has actually did that.
Well, European leaders seem to be concerned after the US strikes. And actually, many of those leaders have, in a way, expressed fear of being dragged into another US-led war outside NATO's mandate. How do you read that?
Well, I don't think they can be dragged into a war. What they can be dragged into is an international crisis, an economic crisis. They can be dragged into the Iranian withdrawal from the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty and Non-Proliferation Treaty, which will affect delegitimize the whole treaty and risk other countries pursuing nuclear weapons for their own defense and credibility.
Rutte made significant statements today, sir. He said that Russia remained the most significant and direct threat facing NATO. How do you think the members navigate their strategy towards the Russia-Ukraine war, especially with Trump, who have taken a more firm stance against the unwavering support for Ukraine?
Well, in terms of NATO territory, that means the defense of the territory of the allies. This is a statement that's been made for a number of years now, that Russia is the most significant and direct threat to NATO territory. Ukraine is not a member of NATO, but the Europeans regard the aggression against Ukraine as directly affecting their defense and security. The United States, under Trump, not under Biden, but under Trump, regards this as a regional war, which, if the Europeans are concerned about it, the Europeans can actually support Ukraine from their own resources. So, yes, President Trump regards Ukraine as possibly an irrelevance to the United States.
Mr. Williams, how do you think the NATO leaders would navigate the Iran conflict, especially if Iran retaliates against U.S. bases in the region, where allies such as France and Britain also have military bases?
Well, the Secretary General has made every effort, as have the allies, non-US allies, to limit this summit in order to limit the potential for President Trump to grandstand and derail it in terms of demonstrating disunity and disarray. But if there is an attack on the US and US bases, then Trump will demand and expect their allies to support in any way they can, particularly political support, the United States against Iran. And so if Iran is addressed in this meeting tomorrow and the day after, it will be in terms of supporting the United States politically, not militarily.